Jesus, Cassie, you're a bitch. Welcome to Ranger Reviews, a web series we look at episodes of the TV show Power Rangers and then discuss them. Today we're exploring the 8th episode of the show Power Rangers in Space, as well as the 258th episode overall titled When Push Comes to Shove. We begin this episode at the surf spot, where Adele is tending to tables. Cassie is there working in her journal. Adele walks over and she immediately hides it, explaining that she has a secret diary. That's not how a secret diary works. Then Adele tells a story about how when she had a diary as a kid, but then her brother found it and tortured her. So when she got older, she made him pay. Okay. Apparently Cassie is late, so she leaves. Outside of a building, Professor Phenomenus reveals to a press junket that he has found the most powerful Utonium fuel ever made, and he will send Bulk and Skull into space to find aliens with him, so they need to come out in mock spacesuits. Then someone asks if it's true that if the canister breaks open, it will destroy the whole city. He explains it'll be in his lab at the top of the skyscraper, but then it also falls, but Bulk catches it. Then Astronema is just like straight up in this scene, daydreaming about the city blowing up in Japanese footage. This show is really struggling. At the high school that we really need to forget about, Cassie and Ashley are walking around talking about dreams, and Cassie explains that she had a dream about her flying. But then she freaks out, realizing she doesn't have her diary, remembering that she didn't put it in her bag at the surf spot. She's checking her bag on a water fountain. Her bag is about to get wet. Ashley is like super passive aggressive about this, telling her to like calm the hell down because it's not the end of the world. And Cassie explains that there's a photo of her as the Pink Ranger in the diary. What a stupid bitch. They start freaking out. They run into two guys in the hallway introducing themselves as George and Lenny. Someone's going to break an animal's neck in this. They have a deal for Cassie. Lenny reveals that they have the diary, but Lenny doesn't talk. Only George. He says that Cassie has to go on a date with Lenny for the diary to get back to her, and Cassie points out that that is blackmail. She doesn't really agree as much as they just tell her to meet them at the park at 2 p.m. Wouldn't they still be in school at that time? On the megaship, TJ and Carlos tell Andros how cool their new toy, the Mega Tank, is. It's legit just a tank, it's not that cool. Andros says that they need it because Zordon could be on a planet with rough terrain, so they need to be ready for anything. Girl, you have galaxy gliders, you'd be fine. Also, yeah, remember Zordon? At the park, George talks about how big Lenny's dick is to Cassie or whatever, and Cassie finally asks if he can just talk for himself. George explains that Lenny always says something stupid, so Cassie sends George away for sodas, and then Cassie makes Lenny ditch him. They run away, and Cassie explains that Lenny doesn't need George, so they're going to go have some fun, but only if she gets her diary back at the end. Is she hooking herself? Also, Lenny is low-key kinda cute. Don't tell anyone I said that. Outside that building from before, Cassie gets a balloon. She looks like a 3-year-old. Lenny says that there's a restaurant on top of the building behind them, so they take the elevator up to the top of the restaurant that looks like it was a set built in like a single afternoon. They walk over to look at the view on the other side, and I realize this may just be a gross-ass restaurant and not a set. Then some elephant monster is just there, I guess, and he rams into the building, shaking everything. Everyone starts to just freak out, running. He hits the building again, and now things are just falling from the ceiling, and Cassie tries to tell Lenny he needs to leave, like alone, but go. But then he gets knocked out in like the funniest way ever. Cassie then just starts slapping him to try to keep him awake. The others are at the surf spot, and TJ looks like he's about to do a work of art and eat a baguette. Alpha rings them, letting them know that the monster named Elephant Titan is downtown, so they need to go. Let's rock it! Astronema is there at the building for some reason, laughing. The Rangers show up, rescuing the people before they run in. Astronema sees them, firing at them before they can get too close. Astronema then leaves, saying that the building is going to fall and blow up everything. Cassie then almost morphs, but Lenny starts making noises, so she helps him up, but not before she body shames him by saying that he needs to cut out the donuts. Jesus, Cassie, you're a bitch. The Rangers go toward the building again, but then Ecliptor shows up in the sky, letting them know that they're about to get blown up by plutonium. I'm pretty sure Professor Phenomenus called it Utonium before, not plutonium, but you know what? I don't care. Ashley then says that she's getting something on her head scanner, and she finds... who knows, because we're cutting to Cassie and Lenny. Then Ashley explains about Cassie and Lenny via the scanner. The Elephant Titan hits the building again, and Cassie decides to hide in the plutonium room. This dumb bitch. They walk over to find a radioactive plutonium reactor, and Lenny starts panicking, and the door is locked, so he's just screaming while the thing is overheating. Cassie's very clearly conflicted on morphing, but like, secret identities was like Zordon's rule, so... Andros says that they have to use a Mega Tank to get up there. Seriously, like galaxy gliders or like legs? They deploy the Mega Tank, which autopilots up. Andros and Ashley take the Mega Tank while TJ and Carlos will take on the monster. Then Andros just goes through the fucking wall into the building like that wouldn't shake anything. Meanwhile, Lenny is having a complete mental breakdown and an explosion goes off near them because overheating, I guess. Also, Carlos and TJ suck. Phenomenus and crew show up and he's pissed about his plutonium fuel. Andros then starts clearing the path with a claw arm. Okay. He starts driving up the stairs and honestly, this is a lot of the same thing. It's just cutting between the stairs, Cassie and Lenny and TJ and Carlos. Then Cassie goes to morph again and Andros sees this busting through the damn wall into the room. How has this thing not been blown up on its own yet? Ashley tells them to get into the tank, so they get in. Andros then says that he has to disarm the plutonium, which I'm pretty sure is not how any of this works, but he uses the claw arm only to get blown by the side thanks to the Elephant Titan, so TJ starts taking the monster by his earrings, telling Carlos to help him pull them out. What kind of trashy girl fight is this? Andros then pulls the cell out, and they use a neutralizer of some sort to stop the thing. Astronema fires the satellite lasers and Elephant Titan is huge now, hitting the building, so Andros turns around, bailing. TJ and Carlos put their weapons on their Astro Blasters, firing at Elephant Titan, but they get hit back. Also, Bulk Skull and Phenomenus are freaking out. The building completely tips over, but the Mega Tank is out and Lenny is passed out, I guess. Bulk and gang are alive, though they're in rubble. The Rangers meet up and Cassie is pissed. Let's rock it! JK, fuck your morphing sequence. They call out the Astro Megazord and they fight Elephant Titan for like a solid 10 seconds before everything speeds up thanks to Andros hitting buttons and pulling joysticks. They call out their saber and yeah, Elephant Titan's dead. What a waste of such a badass monster name. At the surf spot, everyone is playing pool while George and Lenny come over. Lenny also cuts off George and he gives Cassie back her diary and they claim that they didn't read it. Cassie says thanks, but you shouldn't have taken it in the first place. Lenny says she wouldn't have gone out with him otherwise, but Cassie says all he had to do was ask. Then Lenny pulls flowers out of his ask and he asks her out on a date and she goes over to Ashley for some reason. Cassie says that they'll do a double date and apparently Ashley's going to go out with George. Why? Who cares? Does anything matter? The end. This episode has fond memories for me, and for the life of me, I couldn't tell you why. I mean, I guess it's kind of inoffensive overall, it's just kind of a filler plot, and it's a little bit of fun, but also the plot itself is pretty gross. I mean, Cassie got blackmailed into going out with a dude, goes out with him in the end, is apparently going on a second date with this piece of crap. Spoiler alert though, we will never see Lenny again, so I guess date number 2 wasn't as exciting. I like the monster, but we barely saw him. His design was really great, but his whole thing was hitting a building. Not a great showing. Though I will say I appreciate the fact that Astronema is actually going to Earth to see the Battle of the Week. She gets out a lot more than other villains and I like it. Next time we'll be exploring a Child of the Week plot, so get ready for that I guess. Until then, may the power protect you.